The episode you're about to hear contains subject matter that might be a little bit too much for a particular audience, particularly children or people who are a little bit sensitive about the subject matter. Listener discretion is definitely advised.
Oh, baby, I love your AHT. Let's head into the coaching room for some one-on-one coaching, if you get my drift.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
This is Tales from the Cube, a podcast about call centers, what it's like to work in them, the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny and not so funny side of what it's like working in a call center. Welcome to episode 23021. I'm the host Cliff, and today we will get to a topic that is a wee bit on the racy side. Sex. Yes, sex. And the fact that there are a lot of booty calls, and I do not mean from customers, though I am sure that happens on calls as well. Call centers are very social spaces, after all. We are in a biz that we speak with people internally and externally and are in relatively close proximity to one another while on the job. So, conversations of a personal nature on and off the calls are going to happen. They can be overheard, including talk about, getting giggity. Yes, getting giggity with your coworker does actually come up, and it does happen. Dating coworkers is a thing, and it can be fun. So is the so-called booty call, and yeah, that is also fun too. But you better hit the brakes here and take in some tips before doing the wow thing or getting involved with your colleague. The issue is not just in the call center world, but in almost every company. Relationships can work between colleagues, but there are some things you need to consider. Also, if you plan on getting naughty with a coworker, as in a one-night stand, you may want to be absolutely clear on what will and what will not happen. It's pretty important stuff here. You really need to focus in, zero in, and listen closely here, because these are things that are really going to affect you. And if you make a mistake, it can really be costly. All the rules listed here can apply to the booty call or a long-term relationship. So let's start with the first tip. Really think this through. The booty relationship can ruin your career. It's essential to think about the risk you are taking regarding getting involved with a colleague. Even a one-night stand can get you into serious hot water and drama. So can a long-term relationship. So consider the future, the risk that you're going to be taking to you and your colleague. All right, very, very important. There are risks to doing this, and they're very, very serious and can be extremely costly. Don't rush things. Check out the situation. Ensure that you're, going to be okay in this relationship, that they're interested in the relationship, and that it will work, and proceed extremely cautiously. Slow. You really want to take things slowly in any kind of relationship, because at the bottom end of this is going to be either a good outcome or a bad outcome. So you want to make sure and ensure that what you're doing is going to work for you. Okay, and also not get you and your colleague into hot water, and possibly both of you can't. Be discreet at first. This is especially true if you hook up with a married colleague. Yes, believe it or not, this is true. This does occur. You are walking into a minefield of sorts if you do connect with a married person. So if you do, I'm going to, be a little bit strong here. Keep your mouth shut. Discretion is also required. As a rule of thumb, if the person you will go out with is a manager, keep your mouth shut. You must set the boundaries and keep the relationship as private as possible. People are smart. They will pick up the cue and eventually find out that you are dating and doing the funky monkey with the boss or with someone who is married. And that can lead to many HR issues, which leads to point number 4. Many companies, including within the call center industry, have strict policies about dating. Many companies require disclosure of such relationships. While an outright ban is not in place, the relationship could be considered inappropriate. Check the rule book. And remember, you can be fired for putting your shoes under your colleague's bed. Okay, simple as that. Boss, colleague, married person, brother and sister of somebody else can lead to some pretty bad things happening here. So really check yourself before you end up wrecking yourself. Now, some couples work in companies. We have them in ours, and it works out very, very well. They are not on the same team, therefore they do not have the same bosses. And so there's no report tos from both of them to that one boss. But they do have some senior managers, like we do in our team, that they do have reports with respect to directly or indirectly connecting with them. So nepotism is a thing. It does occur. And while it could be an immoral act, and in many cases it is an immoral act, it does happen. Innovative companies limit this, though, through policy. The same goes for relatives being brought in. So if you're going to bring in your wife, that's, one thing. If you're going to bring in your son or your father, or if you're going to bring in somebody who is a colleague of yours into a relationship, you're going to basically know and want to know the rules. So if you're going to do that, here's the point. So if you're going to date a colleague, know that if you are going to do that, there are rules, and those rules are for relatives as well as for yourself. There will also be rules for you and your colleague. The short on this is that tips 4 and 5 here are one and the same. They touch different parts of a relationship, one that already exists and one that may be created. So keep that in mind. Understand that. I know I'm going a bit of around the bush here on this one, but the bottom line is whether you're a dad bringing in a son or son bringing in a dad, a mom bringing in a son, whether it's, that kind of thing, relationship, or a wife bringing in their hubby, or you've decided, hey, I like Jean over there, she's kind of cute, I want to get involved with her. You're going to bring her into a relationship, or, Johnny, oh, he's so cute. You're going to bring him into a relationship. You got to know the rules here. That's what I'm saying. Because for relationships that are existing and not and about to be created, there are rules that companies have, and you have to be aware of them. Keep the work-life balance in mind. The job stays at the job. Period. I have seen many couples who work together speak about the job off-site, and yes, even those who have relatives on the job do the same thing. Turn it off. While I am outside of work, I do not want to hear about work. I'm strict on this. If I can avoid it, I won't even offer troubleshooting steps to my own family. I kid you not. Sometimes sharing what you do with others and relatives is a way of relieving stress by talking about what your day is like and how your day is cool. But you should really understand and read the room before dropping the "here is what I do" story, or "this was one of those bad or not so bad days." If you need to talk with your partner about your day or somebody about your day, try to do that in a private manner. Privately is the best way to go on this. If you're not, feeling great, you definitely want to do that. If you are out with colleagues and you are dating, keep the conversation clear of work. That's what I'm trying to say here. The last thing you want to do is fight with your partner about your boss in front of other colleagues. That leads to many, many bad situations. And of course, it's going to be my next tip. Remember to respect your colleagues. Don't involve them in your relationship. There's no need to elaborate here. You really don't need to involve them in your relationship and in your tip with your boss, or manager, or the company as a whole. There's a lot of that toxicity out there. We don't need to basically breed it and spread it around. So going into a bit of elaboration here, but the bottom line is I really don't need to elaborate. Respect your colleagues and, keep it on the low, so to speak. One of my last points here before I close out, do the job when at work. In other words, stay clear of your partner during the workday. Whether you're a married person, a brother, a sister, son or dad, mom or son or mom, and wife and husband, whatever. Remember that the other person has work to do, and you should know when engaging with them is okay and not okay. And for Pete's sake, keep the PDA on the low, okay? God, really, seriously, keep that on the low. I don't want to see you sucking face on the prod floor. No, thank you. I'm not really interested in somebody, like two little pythons going. No, that's. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, please don't do that. It's like, icky. It's also kind of cute, but I don't need a show here at work of you doing the wah, wah, wah sort of thing or leading up to the wah, wah, wah. If you want to do the funky monkey with your wife or your colleague, keep that outside of work. Don't need to see any part of that. Yeah, of course, a gentle on the cheek. That's cool. Hi, honey, how are you doing? That's fine. You're going to meet up with each other in the lunchroom. You're going to, connect on a break or something like that. But keep the PDA, those public displays of affection really on the down low here, because the bottom line is that nobody needs you in front of them sucking face. Above all, don't stay hooked up because of the job. Or it's important. If you're involved with somebody and you're in a relationship anywhere from a colleague, whether you're with your manager as a relationship situation, you need to understand that it might come to an end in a not so positive manner. Also, do not let any kind of bad feelings or blood seep into the work environment between you and your former partner. It's better to split and do it as amicably as possible, remembering that sometimes it just doesn't work out. Now, hopefully it's going to work out. Hopefully at the end of all of this, you're going to have some fun and date somebody, and you might even get married and go forward and have a family and share that story with the colleagues at work. It does happen too, so that's also a nice thing. There are a lot of positive things that can come out from dating your colleague. It does happen. The other side that does happen too is it can also lead to some negative things. Above all, I think what I'm really trying to say here before I close all of this out is you really want to think this through all the way, through all the steps, through all the things that you're doing in the development of your relationship, from beginning to middle to end, or continuation even after you decide I'm going to go and find another job, or I'm going to stay with you here in the job. How do we keep this going and not interfere with each other's work or get each other in trouble or the company in a situation that's not good either? Those are things you really need to think about and keep in mind, because we want to have good relationships in any environment, in the call centers especially. This is true. So think about that while you continue on with whatever it is you're doing. And remember, above all, what we do is going to impact everyone around you, and everything that you do does have an outcome, positive or negative. So keep it in mind before you go forward with anything, whether it's a simple booty call or a long-term relationship. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening to Tales from the Cube. My name is Cliff. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Cube. You can hear us on all the major podcast platforms such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. We'll see you in the next episode.
That was strangely arousing.